First, let me just finish off on an idea. Most people today are communicating through non-voice. They'll do text and email and chatting. That's fine, it's convenient, but it leaves room for misinterpretation. And you don't really get that sort of sense of someone's feel at the moment. So, what sort of training do I do? Well, first, it's confidence. Most people would rather do anything else but stand up and do public speaking or telemarketing. Well, just like Indiana Jones, if you're afraid to go in the cave and he does, then he gets all the riches and all the gold. It's a hero's journey, being bold and brave. Look at the education you and your younger sister have. In the beginning, you thought it was just a mountain you couldn't climb, and people have tried and quit. And, there's a lot of weight that people can put on you. And if you can eliminate that weight, chances are you can go further. And so something now that we're older, we look back on seemed impossible. It's just part of the process. And if you don't hit the gym, you don't get stronger. And for me, I saw it as dedicated practice. I can understand if people go to school, study, and that's it, or they go to a job, come home, and just check out. But if you go above and beyond when the cameras are off outside the classroom, like I did with Spanish, I looked for the movies, the newspapers, the people to sit and have coffee with so I could speak for 2 hours. And it's almost like Daniel's son in The Karate Kid. Miyagi wasn't around all the time. The kid had to be on the boat and on the beach by himself. And so when someone practices the violin and the piano lessons in between lessons, it's obvious when the teacher sees that you've improved. And so we have the technology to record ourselves, which is great. So you can analyze that kind of like a phonetic error. And I can tell when people are engaged or they'll come to me and they'll ask me about definitions of certain words because English is their second language. They may be attuned to the North American market, but you and I need to explain what the shore means. Someone mentioned cheese fries or who Brett Favre is. I got to explain this stuff. And so when we do this, it's just a beautiful way for someone to really enrich their humanities. And so for me, I can't take away the lure and the lust of this language on the romanticism behind it, the beauty of it, not being a Shakespearean poet, but you could say something to somebody that can make them feel so good that they'll remember it 50 years from now and thank you for it. And so I've had certain teachers and mentors that gave me such positive reinforcement that I can always pull that out of my back pocket on a rainy, sad day, look at that and remember who was the champ and where to go. And so it's very delicate, this new generation in regards to not constructive criticism, but it's stimulation. They sometimes are so used to being isolated or having the luxury of reading something and waiting to respond to it in writing, where when you're face to face, it's like being in a boxing ring. You can hit the bag and practice all you want, but when you're in the ring, it's real. Why? Because there's 10% zig and zag, Yolanda. There's always going to be a wild card. And so if you're not capable of showing depth and getting off of that script and actually being loosey-goosey a little bit with somebody, it will almost be impossible to catch the tail of the tiger.